Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
If you dig back into the archives on chris.pirillo.com, you'll see that a lot of the earlier productions, and when I say that, like media recordings, were not done in video. It was audio and a lot of interviews. I do like interviewing people. It's not what I enjoy most about producing content, audio or video. And quite honestly, I get asked, frequently to be interviewed. And I make a horrible interview. I'm just horrible because I never really stay on topic, and I'm more interested in having discussions with people, not really interviewing them and not necessarily being interviewed. I think discussions are a lot more interesting to listen to. They kind of ebb and flow, so long as it's an interesting person that you're speaking with. And sometimes it just doesn't come across that way. There's a lot of interviewers out there. Some of them do a good job, others not so much. I don't think I consider myself the world's worst interviewer, but I know I'm always picking up tips and tricks when it comes to interviewing and really watching what people do that I don't like, and then not doing that in return when it comes time. I got an email here from Libby, who says, "Hey, I recently landed on a position as a video interviewer." So apparently she's got a new job. "Being the successful on-air personality you are, I was hoping you might have a few tips on how to get interviewees more relaxed and how to get some good information out of them." And she happened to catch my on-the-spot, she mentions it as a triumph with Weird Al Yankovic. So she says she thinks I'm a good person to ask about this. Well, first of all, I don't consider myself a successful on-air personality. I'm just a geek who enjoys talking about stuff. I don't call myself a speaker. I don't call myself an interviewer. I don't call myself a videocaster. I don't call myself a podcaster. I call myself Chris. And, I'm a talker. That's just kind of what I do. So my style when it comes to, interacting with other people, specifically for tape to be recorded, it's very casual. And it's funny. There are many times that I wish we could be recording before we officially start recording, because people are more relaxed when they don't feel like they're on the spot. And for this reason alone, I think the way that you curate your own style, be very cognizant that the more conversational you can make it, the better off you're going to be. Every person that you interview is going to be different. They're going to be more open, more closed. You may have to lead them a bit more. Ultimately, if you can set expectations up front, certainly using a sense of humor will, break down a few barriers. Depends on the people that you're interviewing, the type of people, I like talking to people, and I think ultimately the people who like talking to other people make great interviewers. If you don't like talking to people, you have absolutely no business being an interviewer, and you probably have no business being interviewed. My problem is always, as I said, kind of on the other side of things. But the bottom line is you're trying to capture a moment in time. You're trying to get questions answered. Those questions may come to you on the fly, and you may have a list of questions in your head. In my opinion, you should be prepared, but not over-prepared. Listen more to what the person is saying rather than thinking of the next question you're going to ask. You can, be thinking, okay, here's the next question I'd like to ask, but if you're not listening to your interviewee, and let's say he or she goes off on a tangent that would lead to a very interesting discussion if you follow it through. If they say something that's, leading, if you just leave it there, kind of on the virtual table, it's going to leave the listener or the viewer of that interview wanting a little bit more. So you have to listen. That is key. And I know a lot of people, some of my contemporaries, who have a problem with interrupting people. I'm bad at it too, but I am very, very aware that I have a tendency of interrupting people. And interviewers should do more listening than talking. Set it up, and maybe, set it up enough, and maybe you want to try to explain yourself a little further, and that's leading into discussion-based style. Some people don't like that. Some people just want the interviewer to ask a question and then just get out of the way. I think that's interesting. Sometimes I do that. Just depends on my mood, depends on the person I'm talking to. If I want to feel like I'm getting value out of interviewing somebody, I'm doing it for myself as well as for my audience. So that's why I tend to have more conversations with these people than I do either being interviewed or interviewing them. And it's discussion, and I'm just interested in being more part of a discussion rather than a one-way conversation. And you could define an interview as one way when someone else is going to have different expectations. Your audience over time is going to learn to expect something from you, a certain style from you. They may like it, they may not. If you're comfortable with it, you're ultimately going to make the person, the subject, the interviewee comfortable as well. And there's a lot of ways you can do that, but ultimately it comes back to you. Less about the other person, more about you and your style and how you've defined your style. If I get invitations to interview people all the time, and sometimes I do, and I get invitations to be interviewed, and I just say, just catch me on the web, ask me a question, and then we'll talk about it, because I don't want to set it up, and because it either I go on way too long, or they're not a good interviewer, and they don't want to talk, and I'm just not feeling like it's adversarial. And that usually happens when I have no relationship with the person who's interviewing me. I want to know who's interviewing me, and I want to know that they have done their homework on me, or at least enough. I mean, there are times, and there's exceptions to that rule, but I can definitely tell when someone wants to interview me, if they've just done their research on Wikipedia, or whether or not they've been following, for an extended period of time. And that's always, we all make those mistakes, but, as someone who has always done it because, he wanted to, I take a different approach to it than if I were getting paid by, I guess, a company to do it for them. I have a certain style. It's very relaxed, and I give that style over to the person I'm interviewing. If they're not going to be relaxed, it's not going to work no matter what you do. And you have to figure out how that's going to work for you. Because I could sit here and tell you how I do it, and in fact, I pretty much did. Sense of humor, learning as much as you can about them, just talking to them, doing a pre-interview, just discussing things, seeing, are they a cold fish? Are they, so energetic? What are their hot buttons? What really gets them going? Are they stressed? Are they not stressed? A stressed person is the worst interview because they've got a million other things going on in their mind, and they're going to be a lot more adversarial than someone who's just completely relaxed and has got all the time in the world to talk to you. There's so many situations that are just, they're just different. And I don't know, maybe I guess I don't have a top 5 list, but then again, I guess I'm answering this question much like I do an interview, is I just talk about it and talk it through, thinking about my own style. You've got to ultimately find your own style, and that's what it boils down to. So thanks again for asking the question. Hopefully I answered it to a degree of your own satisfaction. If not, let me know. I can try to give you a few nuggets, or a few more, I should say. My email address is chris@pirillo.com, and if you're from a publication that wants to interview me, sure, I've answered some interview questions as videos, so I might do that. But you're also welcome to swing by the chat room, which is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and in many ways, the people in the chat room interview me. Of course, they ask me the same questions over and over again, which, doesn't make me comfortable. Ask a unique question. I like unique questions. Those are the fun ones. Oh, I gotta go. So we'll see you at live.pirillo.com. See you later.